for the enduring lesson of the Shoah and the genocides that followed in the Balkans, in Rwanda, Darfur, is that these genocides occurred not simply because of the machinery of death, but because of a state-sanctioned culture of hatred. It was this demonizing of the other, this teaching of contempt. This is where it all begins. As the Supreme Court of Canada recognized when it said, words echoed in the language of the International Criminal Tribunals for former Rwanda and for former Yugoslavia and Rwanda, and as the court put it, the Holocaust did not begin in the gas chambers. It began with words. These, as the court put it, are the chilling facts of history. These, as the court put it, are the catastrophic effects of racism. The Genocide Convention obliges its state parties to act so as to prevent genocide and to punish direct and public incitement to genocide, which is prohibited by Article 3 of the Convention, and which is the basis for the notion of a convention, not just on the punishment, but on the prevention as well as the punishment of genocide. And I can tell you, as one who was, as Jerry mentioned, at the time that I was Minister of Justice, involved in the prosecution of Rwandans for incitement to genocide, the precursors, the evidence of incitement to genocide in Ahmadinejad's Iran exceed that which we had as evidence with respect to state-sanctioned incitement to genocide in Rwanda or in the Balkans. Ahmadinejad's Iran, the first of the precursors, for example, is the notion of the delegitimization, the teaching of contempt with respect to the other. And this delegitimating paradigm in Ahmadinejad's Iran finds expression in the incendiary rhetoric that treats Israel as not only as an illegitimate and foreign entity, but one unworthy of any right to existence. But it leads specifically to the kind of exclusionary, damning rhetoric, as in the words of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And notice the references here, as I'm going to cite you. These things are replete in our petition, because they don't only speak about Israel, and they don't only speak, as it is sometimes said, about Zionists. Listen to the rhetoric. Who are you? A forged government and a false nation. They gathered wicked people from all over the world and made something called the Israeli nation. Is that a nation? All the malevolent and evil Jews have gathered there. Those Jews who went to Israel were malevolent, evil, greedy thieves and murderers. It leads to a second precursor, and that is what called the precursor of dehumanization. In other words, in the context of singling out Israel and the Jewish people as an alien other worthy of contempt, the next genocidal precursor is the dehumanization of Israel and Jews through the use of, as I mentioned before, epidemiological metaphors reminiscent of Nazi-like dehumanization of the Jews. Indeed, in this genocide fostering process, biological euphemisms are not just rhetorical anthems. They seek to preclude the intended victim from even being considered human to begin with. According, just as Jews were labeled as vermin in the Nazi Holocaust, or the Tutsi labeled as cockroaches with respect to the Rwandan genocide, so too have Israelis and Jews been dehumanized and labeled by Ahmadinejad's Iran as follows. And I'm only going to give you some of them, and frankly, I almost recoil from even having to mention these kinds of dehumanizing characterizations, where Israel is referred to as a filthy German savage beast, a cancerous tumor that has to be excised, a stain of disgrace on the garment of the world of Islam, a stinking corpse, a cancerous bacterium like cattle, and on the Jewish people, nay, more disguided, a rotten, dry tree, an unclean regime, a group of barbarians. I can go on. That is part of what might be called the dehumanizing process as prologue and justification for genocide, which leads to the third and the last of the 7 clusters or precursors to genocide that I'll mention, and that's the phenomenon of demonization. In other words, related to the process of dehumanization is that of demonization. Under this paradigm, the would-be victims of genocide are portrayed as inspirations of the devil. So what you have here is that dehumanization coupled with demonization accomplishes the dual purpose of making the would-be victim appear not only less than human, if not also subhuman, but appear to be more threatening, and thereby providing, as in Khan's book, a warrant for genocide.